Hey everybody, I'm Bob Bakert with Jazz Guitar Today. I'm being joined today with by Ray Matuza, who is a New York City-based guitar player, and that's not giving you enough credit for everything that you do and have done.
Thanks.
Author, editor, educator, pit guy, orchestras at
Studio.
Broadway. Uh, every genre under the sun, from R&B to rock to metal to blues to jazz to I don't know. What don't you do, Ray?
I don't do Windows.
You don't do- I do windows on my car.
Me
I-
too.
So you and I have known each other for a while, and
Yeah,
and you've written some articles for us and at Jazz Guitar Today. We really appreciate that.
of course.
And I don't think we've ever had you on for a quote unquote interview. And then um, it's got nothing to do with anything other than we just haven't done it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like flying under the radar somewhat, but that's okay.
you're kind of a funny guy for um,
Funny how? Wait, funny how? You mean
funny how? What
I
I'm funny
amuse
to
you?
you? I'm
I
funny to
amuse
you?
you? Don't go there because I know every line in that
I don't. I'm not even gonna. Um, you're very humble.
movie.
You've done so much, and yet you say you're just very humble about everything. And also, you Chris Marabella, I mean, you at the Archtop Festival, he's bringing you out there to demonstrate his guitars.
Yeah,
Luthiers are pretty fussy about who grabs their guitars, and shows them off. They want somebody that can, play their ass off and really make the guitar shine. And you're out there all the time doing your thing.
thanks.
It's great. But the reason we're talking today is because you're doing something really interesting. I find it very interesting. We interviewed Steve Howe a couple of years ago, and it's one of the most popular interviews that we ever did. And
Hmm.
and, and people that people that follow our magazine and everything that we do are, have a, a profound respect for Steve and the music of Yes,
Mhm.
and as do I. And yet you have actually you're a friend of Steve's because you were the one to introduce me to him,
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
that got us the interview, and you've known him for a long time. You guys are good friends, and you've taught classes with him.
Mhm.
I mean, so you're the
Guitar
guy.
camp.
And pardon me?
Guitar camp, his Cross Styles Guitar Camp, which was up in Big Indy in New York.
Yeah.
Did a
So,
week with him. Yeah, they asked me, which was great.
yeah, absolutely. So he knows that his stuff and his music and everything. So now you're playing with one of the, if not the top, Yes tribute band in the country.
Mm.
And they selected you as their guitar player, which is a hell of a thing, I
Oh
think,
yeah, it's great. It's great.
because the music of Yes is not Louie Louie. I mean, there's a little more, there's a
Yeah,
little
there's a little more, there's a lot more going on. I'm like really, really psyched. I mean, I'm filling in for Johnny Bruins, who was their guy, and he is like, he's like the West Coast version of me when it comes to knowing Steve Howe. Every little thing. I mean, I saw them once, and he played this one little intricate thing, and I said, he's the man. So I'm filling in for him while he's dealing with health issues, and great guy. I mean, he knows everything, very, very humble about everything. And what, the first time I talked to him, we just hit it off.
That's excellent. Hey, so a question for you, and this is what I really want to talk about. So, as a guitarist, who your focus for the last several years, in terms of your own playing, what you do for your own satisfaction, has been mostly jazz. And
Oh yeah, for the most part.
so, how
And
does
paper.
how does a nice jazz guitar player like you reconcile reconcile with the music of Yes? And so I'm asking a question I kind of know the answer to, but what is it about their music that appeals to you, and what can we learn from their music? And you know what what are the what are the attributes that make it special to you? etc. So I'm gonna listen to you talk.
Yeah. Well, you know what? By the time I was 15, I had been playing guitar since I was 7. And, I went through, my guitar heroes, Santana, Jimmy Page, Alvin Lee, Clapton, all of them. And I got to that crossroads, no pun intended. I was like, well, there's got to be more, And, I had an uncle who had a lot of Tony Mottola records, and he turned me on to that stuff, around, well, actually, when I was 4 was the first time I heard it. But then, later on, just visiting, he would play them. I said, okay, there's got to be more. So, that was kind of the idea going forward. And then I was a part of this record club, the Columbia Record Club, where you could get like 15 albums for $1, and then you had to buy one at full price, which was like $10 billion. So I'm looking through the catalog. I see Yes, Fragile, and it says featuring the hit Roundabout. And I was like, oh yeah, Roundabout. That's the yes, that's the band with the girl singer and the bass that sounds like a garbage can rolling down stairs. So I got it, and I'm telling you, I have such a sharp memory. It was a Tuesday afternoon in March. I came home from high school. The record came. I go up, put it on my turntable, and it was like, the moment when the clouds open and the sun, and you hear, oh, it's one of those. I was just like, oh man, I got a lot of work to do. So that was the start of it. And again, the jazz thing was kind of a little bit behind it. And I, starting to read about Steve Howe and how his first jazz guitar album was Poll Winners with Barney Kessel. So I was like, I got to check out this Barney Kessel guy. So I went into school the next day, and I was in the jazz band. And my teacher, Mr. Mazzarelli, he was a jazz guy. And I said, hey, Maz, you ever hear this guy Barney Kessel? And he goes, oh yeah, I got some albums with him. So he brings me the Hampton Horse 4 album, right? And I put it on. I was like, whoa. Actually, the first jazz guitar solo I learned when I was 16 was Barney's solo on what was it, Green Dolphin Street? I think it was the solo on Green Dolphin Street.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So, and I could probably still play it. That stuff just gets ingrained. So that was kind of the start. And anything, I kept, reading the Steve Howe things and listening to the Yes and figuring it out. And then, oh, I got to learn some more of this jazz stuff, And then, that's kind of it. And anytime, look, if Steve Howe said I use Charmin toilet paper, I probably would have used it. So I learned I learned it all. And then the jazz thing was
Are you
there.
saying that Steve Howe domesticated you? Is that what you're?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So anyway, he was just my guy. And funny enough, at the time I was taking lessons from a local guy, just starting the jazz stuff, and he says, "I can't teach you anymore. Yeah,
Oh well.
I'm going to send you to this guy Joe Carbone, which was the guy on the island. Him and Joe Monk were the guy." So I went to Carbone, and he was like the realization of everything I heard on records. He would play, and I would be like, "Oh man." So yeah, he turned me on to a lot of cool stuff, and then I heard Joe pass.
Oh boy. Hey,
You
hang
know?
on one second. Ray,
Yeah,
can you try moving your computer at more of an angle because we're getting a lot of bounce back off the wall in your audio. It's not the audio signal's not real clean. Maybe even just get closer to the mic or
yeah.
something.
How's that? Any better?
That is better. I was thinking maybe going in the other direction, but
What do you mean, back further?
no. Get closer. But I'm saying, did you turn the computer a little bit so it's not parallel to the wall?
A little bit. Yeah, I just moved the camera.
All right. Is that where the
That,
microphone is?
yeah, it's in the camera. Is that any better?
It is better. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just lean further in, that's all.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Actually, what I want you to do, since we're doing this,
Hmm.
let me. Can you move further to your right? I mean, to your left?
That?
That's better. Yeah. That's.
Okay, let me know if that works.
Yeah. That looks pretty good.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Your teacher.
All right, so my teacher, Joe Carbone, had turned me on to so many guys and Pat and Joe Pass. And when I heard that, I was like, how does one guy do that? You know? And actually, I had a friend who's a little older than me in high school, and he turned me on to Lenny Bro, and he said, "This is one guy." I said, "There's no way that's one guy." So, so anyway, between Lenny Bro and Joe Pass, it was like, I got to do this. And at that time, obviously, Steve Howe's main instrument was an ES-175D, and Joe Pass had one. So I'm like, well, I got to get me an
I
ES-175D.
see one in the background
And
there.
that's it. That's my 59. So long story short on that, back in 1976, I bought that for $460, I think.
I'll give you 480 for it.
Make it 490 and you got a deal. But anyway, so I got it, and that was like my Joe Pass Steve Howe guitar, and to this day it still is. And actually, Steve's used it quite a few times. He always teases me. You always tell people that people used your guitar. They're like, oh, it's an honor.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was the main thing. And then, like I said, it just kept going, and then I got more into the finger style thing, and the jazz and the yes were parallel courses, through the years. So I apply, and again, Steve is not a rock and roll guy for the
Right.
most part. I mean, his influences was so far out of the typical blues thing. I mean, as far as like prog goes, I'm a prog guy, so I listen to Steve Hackett from Genesis and Gary Green from Gentle Giant, Martin Barr from Tull. Those guys had more of a bluesy,
Hmm.
Les Paul through a Marshall type of thing, where Steve was influenced by so many things, and it just caught on. Oh, Steve plays classical. I gotta learn how to do that. Or oh, Chet Atkins. Yeah, I gotta see what that's all about. So that kind of like opened the door.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but like I said, it was a parallel course, and as I went along my jazz playing, obviously, was running neck and neck with the yes thing, and there was always a little fluctuation. Like in the early '80s, Larry Carlton was my guy, so I did a lot of his stuff. In fact, when he'd play at the Bottom Line in Manhattan, play for a week, I'd go every night just to hang out and watch him play. And through 20th Century Guitar Magazine, I actually interviewed Larry a bunch of times and stuff. So there was that. And then really at one point, all I wanted to be was the East Coast Tommy Tedesco. So I learned how to really read everything. And that's what I wanted to be. I figured there's got to be a practical end to having a career in music. So if I can make money that way. And in fact, when I would get Guitar Player magazine, I could care less who was on the cover. I would go right back to his studio log and make believe I was Tommy Tedesco, sit
We
there
all
and
did, man. That was I think Tommy's log was maybe my favorite thing in Guitar Player
yeah.
magazine.
Well,
He ironically, he's from the East Coast. He's from Niagara
yeah,
Falls.
but Buffalo, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Years later, through a mutual friend, I met Denny Tedesco, who produced, the Wrecking Crew and the other one he did recently. Um, and I was playing at John Pisano's concert for Eastman Guitars, and I said to Denny and my friend Laura, I said, "Why don't you come?" So they did, and John would always let me play a solo fingerstyle thing before I played with the trio. So I looked at Denny and I said, "What do you want to hear?" And he goes, "How about some Beatles?" So I went up there and I played my fingerstyle arrangement of Eleanor Rigby, played a couple of tunes with the trio, came and sat down. And Denny just looks at me and goes, "My father would have loved your playing." And the tears started coming down my, face. And Denny and I are still good friends to this day. So yeah, pretty cool.
Tell me what's going on.
Well, right now, I'm in rehearsals with the band. Again, like you said, this isn't this isn't like playing Louie Louie.
No.
This is a lot more involved. You can't have a one or two rehearsals and go, okay, we can go out and do the gigs. There's three levels to this. There's you learning the music with the recording, the original recording, or in my case, I have to go through the original recording, maybe some live recordings, and some live recordings that the band did to get the arrangements or little tweaks, stuff like
Yeah.
that. These are pretty much original. to the record because Terry Day, the singer, can sing anything. So that's not the problem. So again, when you go to the rehearsals, you do your thing and you tweak it. Now it's a long day because I live on Long Island and the rehearsals are in the middle of New Jersey. Doesn't bother me. It's great. The guys are great. So again, we're at that point where I'm getting the show down and just making my mistakes at the rehearsals and going, I knew that at home. And
You should be an actor.
funny how, Bob? Funny how? Oh, so
You
anyway,
could do that. You could do that character, I'm sure.
oh God, like I said, I know every line from the movie.
Yeah,
I'm just a little bit taller than Pesci. Not by
yeah.
much, but
He's a
So
guitar
anyway,
player. He is a guitar player.
that's right. He used to, you know what? He was in a band with Frankie Valli before the
I
Force.
know. I
Yeah.
know.
And I think Joe was the guy who introduced Frankie Valli to Bob Gaudio, who was the main writer and keyboard player, something like that.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of stupid little facts, but anyway, yeah. So where I'm at that level too. Let's rehearse. Let me make my 10 billion mistakes and kick myself from here to China for doing that, being that I knew it all, at home. And the next level is obviously doing the first show. The name of the band is Total Mass Retain. It's part of Close to the Edge.
Say that
That's
again. Total what?
Total Mass Retain. It's
Okay.
a movement in Close to the Edge. So that's where the name came from. My first show will be up in Albany, February 28th, the last day of the month. So it's not that far away. Uh, Again, we're not learning, Killing Floor or A Whole Lot of Love. It's intense, but I love every second of it. I mean, I've been playing this stuff since I'm 15.
Does anybody have charts in front of them, or is that like verboten?
Oh, you don't do that. No choice. What are you kidding me? What do you think this is? No, it's
Well,
here.
Al Di Meola, when he played with Chick at Carnegie Hall, like 2 days into it, he had charts.
Did it?
I believe so. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I mean,
There was
there are people out there that have joined bands that where it was considered acceptable, but rock bands don't generally have charts.
Well, you know what? And with the iPads, I mean, you can put your words to songs
Right.
or thoughts on that. I mean, when I do shows, like I play with the Drifters and the Coasters on occasion, things like that.
Yeah.
I'll put all the shows, the music, the chart in
Yeah.
Pia Score, and then I'll just load them into my iPad. And this way I just have a foot switch, Bluetooth foot switch. You play and you just hit the foot switch and it turns the page for you. I do
You
that
got,
with my classes
you
too.
know, I know about that technology, but you need to send me the link to that, what you're using.
It's really, really good once you get it. And then, like I said, you can buy these Bluetooth foot pedals
Yeah.
that you got to, I use it with my classical when I'm practicing too. You're playing, you just hit the right switch, it flips the page for you.
I got a show coming up Saturday night, and it's the lyrics that
Mm.
every song I'm doing is like from 1960 or it's original. And
Okay.
when I say 60, I'm talking about like 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, that
The
kind
good
of.
stuff. The good stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm doing solo guitar voice, things like Badge, While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Oh, you should know that by memory, man. You're in that like 10 million times.
Oh man, you would think, but I don't.
All those solos, again, that Clapton stuff, it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
You know.
Um, well, I love all that stuff, and
Me
it's
too.
gonna be
I
it's gonna
love
be,
everything, as long as
and
it's not negative. But I
I'm gonna
mean,
put that together with Layla, which I think it'll be kind of
oh
fun.
yeah, good choice.
And yeah, anyway, we're getting back. So, keep talking. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the thing with the band. Again, the name of the band is Total Mass Retain. I'll be doing a bunch of dates with them through the spring while Johnny Bruins deals with his health issues. Again, there's the musical thing, and then there's the instruments and the logistical thing. You can't just bring one guitar. I mean, I'm basically bringing with my ES 175. I have an Epiphone one because I won't take the 59 out.
Yeah.
Whiskey. Um, I have an early 70s 335, which Steve Howe pretty much used on Close to the Edge. So that's covered. I have a Line 6 Variax for the 12-string electric and 12-string acoustic and acoustic guitar. What else am I using? Of course, you need the steel guitar because Steve plays a lot of steel guitar and stuff. And
So
my
are you going to actually play steel or are you going to use a
yeah,
program?
no, no, I play it.
You play pedal steel?
Well, it's not pedal steel. It's like a lap steel on
Oh,
legs. It's
lap steel.
open
Yeah.
E. And the biggest thing with that is getting intonation because you don't have a fret.
No,
You got a line,
yeah, I gave up on that a long
and
time
it's
ago.
just like, woo, 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 where am I? Jeez. So, but I'm getting better. The dogs in the neighborhood have stopped howling, so that's a good sign. So that's good. And what else do I bring? I bring my 74 Strat for the Trevor Rabin 90125 era
Yeah.
stuff, owner of a lonely heart. And beside the guitars, then you need the effects. Like owner of a lonely heart has that harmonized solo in it. So I just happen to have a pedal to do that, but I'm going to be upgrading everything up to the Line 6 Helix, which Steve Howe uses and Johnny Bruns used. And I figured, well, let me join in that. That'll just make life easier once I get it programmed. There's enough to worry about. So
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic
it's
idea.
a lot. It's a lot different than playing jazz guitar, where you walk in with your guitar, a wire, and you plug it into an amp, and whatever you got to say is in your fingers and on the fretboard.
Everything has got its thing.
Yeah.
Playing with pedals, it is not easy to do well because they affect everything, the sound, the input, all that.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
playing without pedals is not easy to do well. I mean, playing in general at the professional level, no matter what genre, whether it's bluegrass, classical, country, folk, I mean, to do it well, it's got its thing. And then, I mean, you've got to take Steve's, Steve's brilliance and kind of and emulate that. I mean, that's not an easy job. That's not an easy job at all.
No, well, like I said, I mean, I've been playing his stuff since I'm like 15 or
Yeah.
16. It's in my DNA.
Did you transcribe and copy his solos back then when you were 15,
No,
16?
but no, to the point where I knew where he took a breath. It was ridiculous. I mean, I did nothing else. I mean, I practiced 4 to 7 hours a day from the time I was 15 or 16 till I was 21. So, and that entailed hours of yes, hours of jazz, an hour or so of reading technique, um,
Let's talk about reading. Let's talk about reading for a minute. So, you said that you're a reader.
yeah.
So at what level do you read? I mean, so for example, I mean, can you take a score from never seeing it and sight read it and play it, or do you take it home and kind of learn it from the where are you at with the whole reading thing?
Well, it's like anything. If you don't use it, you lose it. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, there was a point where I could read anything and transpose in my head. So if it was written in G and you said, "Hey, we got to do it in E flat," yeah, okay. But and there were a couple of really good books for the rhythmic things because
Yeah.
what is it? It's called, I think, Contemporary Rhythms for Guitar was a Berkeley book, but it had like horn line stuff, like dotted eighths tied over, dotted eighths with a 16 tied over to like two eighths, and I read through the whole book,
Wow.
and it's a great book. And what you can do is, if you don't get it with a rhythm, what I would do is double it up. So if there was a dotted eighth followed by an eighth, I would turn that dotted eighth into a dotted quarter followed by a quarter. So you're like stretching it out. So if there was something extremely difficult, you just uncompress it and make it a bigger rhythm and then go, okay, that makes sense.
Can you play drums?
No, but I'm a closet bass player.
A bass? Oh, wow.
I love bass, you know.
I I think the bass is the most important instrument in any band.
Oh yeah.
I mean, by far. It's
Oh,
the thing about bass, and I don't think most people understand this, and bass players know it for sure. You can take any song, any recording ever, and you can change the drum, track, drum part to a different feel. You can change the keyboard part, the harmony, the melody. You can change everything. And it won't have as much effect as what you can do if you change the bass line.
Good point.
You can prove that to yourself sometime. If McCartney and pick a song is playing that bass line, you can do whatever you want to, and you still have an idea what's going on.
Yeah. Mhm.
But if you change the bass line, you can go from to a funk to a ballad to you change the time. It doesn't matter what the drummer's doing. I have a tremendous amount of respect for bass. So when you say you're a closet bass player,
Well, think about the fingerstyle thing. I mean, I've got the
yeah.
bass lines going, and I could be playing somewhere over the rainbow or whatever, just as a ballad, and then halfway through it, turn it into like a walking bass line.
What what key do you do Somewhere Over the Rainbow in?
E flat.
E flat.
Mm.
Wow.
Most people do it in C, I think. I mean, like changing a key is not a big deal.
I do it in E
Oh,
because
get the open.
I sing it in E. That's why.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I have that low note. Can you hear that?
What was it, open E?
Yeah, just an open E note. I've
Yeah,
got that
gotta
on.
have those open strings. You know, it's funny. I remember a lot of the stuff I do fingerstyle.
Yeah.
I do in keys that, have open strings just so you get that full bottom
Oh
end.
yeah.
And then I saw one of the Joe Pass instructional videos.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't use open strings.
Well, he also said if you keep going on, he famously grabbed a guitar and hit a D chord,
Okay.
and or maybe Joe DiOrio said it, and Joe DiOrio said to him, the great Joe Pass is playing a cowboy chord or a D chord.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey man, it's the right chord. That's the one we use." So I think Joe Pass kind of said anything he wanted to. It didn't matter.
Yeah. From what I know, again, my teacher, Joe Carbone, was a personal friend. And he said
Yeah.
he was a character, typical kind of New Jersey Italian guy.
Yeah, there's a whole
Yeah.
story about him and being paid in cigars. I don't know if you've ever heard that
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah, lessons and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You can't play a Hank Williams chord, with a D major seventh at the fifth fret, or even a bar chord, with a fifth string root at the fifth and seventh. You got to play that open D, man. That's the deal.
That's the sound. And it's really funny, this chord right here. Can you hear that?
And it's kind of getting cut off, but I hear
Oh,
a
it's an A minor 9 on the fifth fret with the B, the 9
little open. Yeah,
on the high E string,
yeah.
and the low E and A on the bottom, and that gives you that suspension on the A string. But with those open strings, it does a thing, and I'm going to use that in a song. Anyway, long and the short of it is that so reading. How much reading are you doing today, and how is that helping you with the yes stuff, or is that you just recalling what all the stuff you've known for years and years?
Oh, I just go back to old school, listening to recording. But it's funny. I said to somebody Sunday when we were rehearsing. Um, I was like, I can't believe like I figured this stuff out by taking the needle
We all did.
on the record and going back and back, or putting it on 16 and getting that real woo, woo, and getting these notes. And now with YouTube and everything where you can slow things down and get it and realizing that I got it like 99.8% right. But as a 16-year-old, what's your biggest worry? Who's buying your beer on Friday night? The brain is open.
We all ruined a lot of records doing that, and a lot of needles.
I went through so many copies of Yes albums.
I
It was
mean,
crazy. Seriously.
you pick it up and you listen. I was never very good at it. I'll be honest with you. That was never my thing at all.
Well,
I would just
I,
listen to it and I would play it as close as I could possibly. But I didn't play in the cover band that I played in high school. The guitar player, I played bass in that band,
oh,
and the guitar player was he was like you, and he would give me the parts. He said, "Here, do this," and I go,
mm,
"Okay," and I would do it. But just to sit down, but I did do it, you know, I did do it, and I was grateful for when the books came out and you could get at least, you know, a whole lot of stuff, you know, from
Oh
them.
yeah. I mean, look, it's all learning tools. I personally believe, no pain, no gain.
Right.
So sit with a record and learn a Joe Pass solo or a Pat Martino or a Jimmy Bruno solo or whoever, and to do it the old school way is a little better than, it's nice to have the written thing, but then sometimes the
Well,
actual tra
the ears is the way to be. I mean,
it is.
yeah, the best way to learn, best way to do anything is with your ears. There's no
Yeah.
question about it. But I'm fascinated with guys that can sit in front of a score and just play it. You know, and without really having much time with it at all. I mean, there's a famous story of I don't know how famous it is, but Lee Ritenour is supposed to be like the world's best reader or one of those
Really?
guys.
Mm.
And I think it was Carl Verheyen who was being called in on his first session, and he was the second guitar or
Okay.
first guitar, and Lee was the other guitar player. And I'm pretty sure Carl was the one who told me the story. And so Lee, who can read his ass off, um, gets like a skinny little book, and Carl it gets this big thick the big thick book, and they're like less than a minute away from the downbeat, and there's an orchestra there. It's like a 30, 40 piece orchestra, and Lee looks over at at Carl and sees that he's about to pass out from an aneurysm, and this is the story that he swapped books with him,
Yeah, I
and
think
then
Tedesco did
and
that too at some
and
point.
then Lee read read it flawlessly, and Carl just thanks for saving my ass. I'm pretty sure it's Carl that told me that story. So
Well, I remember the one Tommy Tedesco had the sheet on his stand and he started playing, and the conductor stopped it, and Tommy didn't realize the music was upside down. So he was sight reading it upside down. Now that's pretty crazy, you know.
that is a world that I will never know. What's his name? Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus when
Hmm.
they when Nicholas first came on the scene and Palmer was ruling the world and saw Nicholas play, and he knew that his time was numbered now. It's like and he said that man plays a game of which I'm not familiar.
Yeah, right.
And so it's what these guys that can read like that. You got 14-year-old kids that are playing stuff that
Oh, it's nuts.
we never learned to play. We couldn't. I mean, if you go back and listen to the old solos of the rock solos, like from Clapton and all these guys, I mean, it's great because it's got so much feeling and so much soul. Don't get me wrong, but
No, I,
from a technical point of view, these kids are ripping off stuff that you just go, oh my freaking God.
I can't believe it. How about Matteo Mancuso? I mean,
Oh, it's ridiculous.
ridiculous. There were
Yeah.
a couple of kids I met in Nashville at the Chet show. This one kid, Isaac Biver, I think his name is,
Uh-huh.
and it was like, "You're too good for your age."
Well, here's the big question is that there's a lot of them that are technically
Mm.
just incredible.
Oh yeah,
And what you really want to listen to is do they have it, from their heart, from their soul,
not yet.
you know,
Look, it's like this. It's like this. If you make a steak, if you put a steak in a frying pan and you cook it up real quick,
right.
tastes. But if you let it saute with onions, the flavor,
Yeah.
everything, it's the same thing. And that's just time. It's
I,
not how much you're practicing. It's maturity, time, years and years.
we had
Don't.
a group in 1970. I had a group, was a trio, and it was like a Crosby, Stills and Nash America-ish kind of thing. It was original music for the most part, but we got booked into the Riverboat Coffee House in Toronto, which at the time was like it was Canada's bitter end, and that was a big deal. That's where Gordon Lightfoot and Neil Young and
Yeah,
Jimmy
okay.
Mitchell and
In the city in Toronto.
all those
Yeah.
people played. And I was like 19 years old, I think, or maybe I was 20. I don't even know what month it was in. Anyway, we went up there to play, and the owner of the club, Bernie somebody or other, I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry. It's been 1969, 1970.
Oh boy.
He said, you guys play really well, you sing really well, and your songs are really good, but you need to move to New York City and eat beans for a few years,
Yeah. You
you
need
know?
that.
And in other words, you don't have a hair on your ass, kid.
Hmm.
You're just
Oh,
all,
yeah.
and Eric Anderson, the great folk singer who's from my hometown, he came to hear us play, and he at the time he was hanging out with Jimmy Page and staying at his house and all that kind of stuff. And Eric's done it and been there with everybody. He's one of the greats. And yeah, he said basically the same thing, except he was a little bit more graphic. And
Yeah, I can imagine. You know us crazy
I'll never
guitar.
forget what he said to me, but I'm not going to repeat it. So
No, it's true. You got to take your bumps. You know what? It's like a dolphin. You ever
yeah,
look at a dolphin? It's always got those scrapes and scratches
yeah, yeah,
but it's always got the smile. It's the maturity of it. It's
yeah.
been through a lot.
There's this one little kid. He's an Asian kid. I think I don't know if he's probably 15, but he looks like he's about 9. Who's playing blues on a Strat. And I swear, if you close your eyes, it he's the one guy. It just defies everything. And I don't know his name off the top of my head, but when I listen to him, and he's been all over YouTube and everything. When I listen to him, if you close your eyes, you go, you know what? That's what I'm looking at, what I'm hearing. I
Doesn't
can't
make
I
sense.
can't I can't put that together.
There are those out there.
So
I mean,
let's finish up, Ray. Let's talk about the band for a minute. So other than that, people, you teach as well, right?
yeah, teaching and the fingerstyle thing, which that's kind of my thing that I'm known for. I mean,
Yeah, and you're performing. You perform with like the Coasters and the Drifters, and you've also, I mean, you've worked with the guitarist from King Crimson. You've worked with a lot of very famous acts, and you high in a city that has so many high profile people. You've been there with all those guys, and
yeah. I mean, I've played, played with Jimmy Bruno, and I've done
oh yeah,
guitar night with Frank Vignoli. Invited me once, and, a lot of those guys. I mean, my association or my working with 20th Century Guitar magazine, that was
yeah.
kind of like, the door that opened everything. I mean,
Now, what year did that start, and what year did it end?
I don't remember the year it started, but it ended in 2008. Larry and Jimmy Acunta were the guys who owned it, and Larry was the main guy.
How long were you there?
I was there a good 12 years. So,
Wow.
I mean, you could sit there, pick up the phone. Hey, oh, it's Peter Frampton.
Yeah.
It's, you know, whoever, it's Tal Farlow, or who, it could be anybody. And so through that magazine, doing articles, I met like Barney Kessel, Tal Farlow, Johnny Smith,
Right.
and all the jazz guys I just knew. And then when they see I could play, I'd play with them. And then, like I was saying, the fingerstyles thing um, was that parallel course with playing, just regular jazz. So, and then, again, when the magazine was there, I was one of the first ones to play Scott Shinnery's Blues Centura that D'Acquisto made.
Do you do you do you still playing hockey?
Yeah, I played Friday. Don't ask. I
Let's
look.
talk about the important stuff.
Yeah, well, if I was a quarter of good at hockey as I was as I am as a guitar player, I mean, other than my size, because I'm real little and now I'm old, I maybe would have made the NHL.
Well, so what? How tall are you?
Not very, as I tell my
All
doctor.
right, I'll leave it alone.
5'6". I'm like 5'6". I'm little.
5'6", yeah.
And you know what the funny thing is? Playing the fingerstyle stuff and the Steve Howe stuff. Now, I don't think you've ever met Steve. Steve has like these enormously long fingers. I mean, the picture you usually see of E.T. with the two fingers
Yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's like Steve's fingers. So like one of the first times I sat down with him back in the 90s, I said, geez, no wonder my hands always had cramps and stuff. And his hands are huge. The only other person, Jimmy Bruno has hands roughly my size.
Yeah.
We're both about the same size. And the only one who has smaller hands than me is Muriel Anderson. And I always tease her about that.
Well, now that you say that,
You make do with what you got. I have to.
yeah, well, you can see that. I mean, my middle finger, that finger
Mm.
on my left hand is almost 3.5 inches long, which is not particularly big, but
I
it's
just
not.
happen to have a ruler right here.
Yeah,
Let's see what
it's
mine is.
not particularly big.
Mine is 3.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. Yeah, mine's definitely more than three. It's about
No,
three.
I'm like 3, like right on the money.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I watch a lot of guys. Well, are you measuring it from your palm or you're measuring it from the back of it?
I'm measuring from the back. Where are you going?
Okay, from the back.
From the back. Okay, go ahead. I
Yeah,
feel like I'm doing a Home Depot class here.
from the back, it's 3 3/4.
Well, if I go from the palm where the that first crease is,
Yeah.
like 3 inches exact.
Yeah. No, I'm about almost 3.5 from there. So
Okay, well, like they
yeah,
said,
no, but you watch guys play and you watch their technique, and I see a lot of three-finger players. I mean, a tremendous amount of three-finger players, and then Tal Farlow and guys like that who are playing, they're using the
that's
pinky.
hands. Yeah.
A lot of guys don't play with the pinky. I started using a pinky back when I was 13 years old. A guitar player said to me, "Man, you got to use your pinky. You got to use your
It's on
pinky."
your hand. You might as well. I mean, if you look at the old like blues guys, they don't. I mean, I think
They
some.
don't, and it limits the. I think I think that guys that can use all four have a lot more. I don't know. The music, it's just more interesting to me. I can kind of tell if a guy's a three-finger player, pretty much by listening to him. And some of those guys are great. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no, I look. I love the old like the old acoustic, down home like those Sonny Boy Williamson and Howlin' Wolf and those guys. Those guys, you can't capture. I mean, you can play it, but it just doesn't have the same thing happen.
Well, the blues that kind of
Yeah,
that's all three finger stuff.
right. And your pentatonic minor. I tell a lot of my students with that scale. I said, look, when you're playing these pentatonic minor scales, say like in one position, the fingers almost dictate the solo. You got one thing, and you got to remember when those guys were playing solos in the 60s and 70s, they were probably drunk or high or something too. So their fingers were just right there, you know. Just like I tell my students, tab is created by Satan. There's
That's
one extra line. You can't notate rhythms, but I say, look, it's a nice little thing, a little
Yeah,
extra.
what it does give people is it'll give them voicings that they probably never.
Right. But if you don't know the song and you don't know the rhythm of a lick,
You can't learn to play it that way.
yeah,
No, all it is it's a helper.
to
It's a
help
helper for people
the
to play.
tool.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, Ray, thanks, man. So when's your first gig?
All right, so my first gig with Total Mass Retain, you can look at totalmassretainband.com, is
Okay.
February 28th up in Albany. And the next day, March 1st, I'll be in Dunellen, New Jersey. They're all on the website. So I'm really psyched. I mean, again, I've loved this music forever, and I've said to Steve, I said, this is a chance for me to carry on your legacy and the music of the band accurately as I can. So yeah, that's happening. That's doing that. And then as spring comes, there'll be more gigs. I think we're playing Daryl's place in Pauling, New York at some point, and there's gigs. And I'll be like kicking in with my fingerstyle stuff and the guitar shows. Probably going with Chris Mirabella to what's the one in Philadelphia? Not Philadelphia. The Artisan Show in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to check out my fingerstyle stuff, just put Ray Matuza in YouTube, and there's stuff from the shows. I'm in the Blue Guitar documentary, basically saying what I said about me being the first guy. I look again. I was lucky. That magazine did a lot for me. I
Yeah.
was in the right place. I'm blessed, man. I'm just totally blessed. playing all those blue guitars, knowing all the players, just being involved day to day with everything, and then having that as being the door that opened a lot of stuff up to me, you know.
I understand. I understand.
Yeah,
My
it's not always
Rolodex,
talent. It's not always,
my Rolodex is filled with heroes, of mine. And
isn't that great? And you when you find out that they're nice people,
yeah, it's really funny. While we're talking about that, it's it seems the bigger a star that they are, the nicer they are.
you know what? You're absolutely right.
And it's pretty incredible. I mean, if there's anybody on the planet that's more gracious than, John Schofield or Scott Henderson, people that
Yeah,
are
right.
well known, and Eric Johnson, the rock player. I mean, just nicest. I hate to point out anybody. I mean, John McLaughlin is just a prince. He's just or a king, I guess.
And that just to me, that just like completes the picture. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I know a lot of professional musicians who are amateur human beings, if you catch my drift.
Well, it.
You know?
I think there's a lot of people who are bitter and they're jealous. And
You know what? That's a real good point.
yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are bitter and they're jealous because they're not being recognized for being the geniuses that they are.
Mm,
But I got to tell you, in the magazine, everybody that I've interviewed has been so nice and humble and welcoming and just real authentic humans, and
yeah.
that's really great. And then when I'll go to a local jam session, which I haven't done now for a while. When I had the health issue, I kind of
Mm.
backed away from all that. But you go and you see these people with these attitudes, and I don't know I don't know what's. I mean, they're just like, it's not only guitar players. I mean, it's
Oh no, the keyboard players can be the
I
way.
mean, it's like who the fuck are you?
Well, it's like, you know what I did, in the 80s and 90s, a big thing on Long Island and the tri-state area was doing weddings.
Yeah,
I would do 4 or 5 a weekend. I supported my family, 4 kids.
yeah.
And you'd go, you'd talk to somebody you knew who was a jazz player. Oh, I don't do weddings. Well, you know what? When your electric bill comes and you don't have the money to pay it, you can write on your bill, I don't do weddings, so I don't have the money. Look, you got to do
Um,
what you got to do, man. You got to do what you
you
got to
know, I will say this about I've got 4 kids and 4 grandchildren, and
do. Fuck you.
I'm very lucky. And I will say this that I made decisions in life that were, had I not been a father, I would not have made. And things that I did. And there was I don't want to say sacrifices, there were choices that I made. And my kids mean the world to me. I mean, they're everything to me. And
Me too.
that's if I have anything to be proud of, it's not the guitar, it's not the
Oh,
music, it's not this, it's not that. I mean, the one thing that I just look at my kids and go, holy crap. And I was able to do that through a whole lot of things that we do that, it's just maybe it's not exactly where you want to be and what you want to do. And I'm not saying you shouldn't chase your dreams. I am absolutely positively 100% that you got to chase your dreams. But once you take on responsibility for other human beings,
that's a different thing.
that's a different ball game. And if they're fortunate enough that they don't have to do that kind of stuff, well, screw them, but don't disrespect me.
Yeah,
Um,
good
thank you
point.
so much, Ray. I really appreciate you
Oh,
as
thank you.
always.
I'm really honored that you wanted to do this with me because, like I said, oh my.
Oh, you are. You are. You are. You are. You are. So Bob
Thank
Bakert with Ray Matuza, who is going to be playing in the Yes Band name.
Total Mass Retain. Look at
Yeah,
totalmassretainband.com, and I'll be starting with them February 28th up in Albany.
that sounds great, man. Hey,
You can
thank you
come and
so
throw
much.
throw throw peaches at me because I'm probably going to make a lot of mistakes. Hopefully
Well,
not. Only kidding.
a whole lot less than I would make, I'll tell you that for sure.
Try.
Thanks, buddy. Bye bye
Thanks,
now.
Dan. I'll talk to you soon, Bob.
Thanks, Ray.
I'll see you, bud.